Hey guys, hi everyone. I finally got the first comments, first questions. And one of the first questions in the comments to tell you in general about my personal experience, how I came to have my hair transplanted. Tell me about the journey you've been on from baldness to transplantation. Well, let me try to tell you about that. I started going bald when I was probably in my 20s. As I've said about it earlier in other videos. I never had anybody bald in my family on my mother's side or my father's side, and it was very unusual for me. At first my hair started falling out gradually. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I will say even more. I think that even when I was about 16 years old, I could already see that my hair thinning and starting to fall out. My mom used to tell me that it was okay, it's normal, it will grow back. Apparently, my mother was not aware that her son could go bald, especially since there's no one in the family who was bald. Like I said, we didn't have any bald ones. And by the time I was 20, I guess it was compounded when I went to America. I lived in America. Then when I back to Belarus, by the way, I'm from Belarus, from Minsk, and when I back to Belarus from America and realized that I have to live in that country, I got really stressed out, which aggravated the situation. I started to lose my hair even faster, as it seems to me. Moreover, there were cold winters and I had long hair. If I can find a picture, I will show you how it looked like. And it was fashionable go out without hat in those minus 20 Celsius. I didn't wear a hat. In fact, I used to wet my hair with the gel or water. Well, that was the fashion then. And with all this, I went to the freezing cold. And of course, it just make it worse for my hair, for my skin and my head. And the last straw in this sea was a situation when I came back from America. I decided to dye my hair in white, which was a fashion as well. And I dyed in the white with this hydropyrite or whatever it's called. I turned my hair to yellow. I didn't like it. I wanted to be white, and so I repeat again and again. So I totally make worse for my hair and my skin or in my head. And it's when my hair started falling out a lot. At first it was like everybody else bald spots, and then the top of my head went bald and so on. One of the methods they said back then, you had to shave your head and then the hair would grow faster. I don't know, it was stupid or maybe it wasn't stupid, so I shaved my head. And when I saw myself, imagine being 20 years old and basically my whole life I've been called handsome. All of a sudden I'm shaving my head, and in those days only gangsters and convicts were bald. And being bald was like a big deal. In high school I was a straight A student. Then when I shaved my head, even the teachers start to, don't like me. And that's when I realized that I didn't feel right without hair. People are full of stereotypes, and life without hair is not very comfortable. Accordingly, I was young, I was losing my hair very quickly. I was stressed and depressed at first. I couldn't understand at all what was going on, why it was like that. So usually I just shave my head, but that didn't help much, so I started looking at all the options to deal with the baldness, how to cover it up. The first thing I came across was pigmentation, or rather it was called tattooing, but at first I wondered if I gotten myself a hair tattoo on my head. I found this tattoo artist. He did it for me right here. You see, there is still a dark spot. He tattooed me a little bit there and I realized it's fucked up. But that's another issue. I realized that the tattoo was bullshit, but it wasn't easy to remove it anymore. So you also have to think about every step of the way several times. Transplant, don't transplant, pigmentation, tattooing, etc. because you treat it like you are doing it forever. And so when I did that, it took there half an hour. I tried literally small part. I don't remember how much I paid, but to get that same tattoo done, it takes and costs 10 times more for laser tattoo removal. And I've had a lot of people asking, what's your spot here? What kind of stain? Speaking of which, I didn't tell either. While I was still a teenager there, 16, 18 years old, when I saw that basically my hair was getting lost, I tried a bunch of different remedies. I read, the internet wasn't really developed at the time. I read the newspapers, folk methods. I washed my hair with all sort of things, yeasts and serums, almost virgin blood. I've tried absolutely everything. There was also a period when a friend advised me he were starting to go bald as well. So in the 2000s, they started opening up salons for men who were losing their hair. So I went there, and they were selling very expensive, at least for me. I felt like that at the time, because I was a student, for me it was really big money. It was bottle of all sorts of products that you kind of wash your hair with, and it made your hair grow. I realize now that it's totally bullshit. Although maybe for those who have a little bit of hair loss, it might not be too late, maybe it works. But then I was spending a lot of money, like $100 a bottle, and you wash your hair and wait for your hair grow, but of course nothing grows. I've tried that too. Around 2008 I moved to Asia, I moved to the Philippines. Many of those years I wasn't living in Belarus, I live abroad. I read different articles there too, and I saw people fighting baldness in general up to a certain period. I guess until I was completely baffled by the fact that I was bald, I was starting to get used to it. Moreover, by the end of 2007, 2008, then I would even say that there was a fashion for bald people. There was some artists, famous artists in the early 2000s. Then there were other actors, someone else. That's it. I actually like it myself to be bald, kinda. I don't want long hair, I just want a pattern. I like baldness, but just with a hair pattern, to be exact. It turns out that I'm somehow more or less used to it. When I moved to Asia, I ran into... I don't remember how I found these advertising hair transplants. I applied. Anyway, I packed up and went to Manila. It was really expensive, it was fucking ridiculous. I'm just thinking about it now. I just got screwed like a moron. I got hair transplantation. I don't remember what I was told, 3,000 or 3,500 grafts, and I pay actually for each graft. The second time I got the transplant, they told me that there was like maybe 1,500 grafts. So I was deceived even in quantity, and it costs something about $4,000, which was very expensive. Well, imagine it was 2009 or 2010. In those days, it was quite a lot of money, even now, that it was really huge amount of money. I think it was money that I had, well, not the last, but it was a lot of money. And so I gave it away in the belief that it would be beautiful just like in the picture. Well, of course, first of all, I got it all wrong. In fact, I will try to find a picture of myself after the surgery. If I can find it, I will attach it too, so you can see it. And well, it was awful. And what's more, I don't recommend to go to the surgeries alone. Always take someone with you. Friends, loved ones, relatives, someone close to you, no matter how old are you. You have to understand that this surgery, it seems like no big deal, but it's so much easier and better for you. You feel a lot better when you have someone around. And so I had my first hair transplant. I was alone and who knows where, in some weird place in Manila, but it wasn't shithole. It was like clinic, but it was just office buildings, you know, a shithole. They charged me a shitload of money. I just believed them and hope that my hair will grow. When you have someone around you, they can at least check it out. It was everything right, correct, and someone checked the work for which you pay. Here's the second time, by the way. The second time I transplanted, there were a few things which I will tell you about in the next videos. Very important nuances. So you need to have someone with you and look with a critical eye. Because first of all, when you're alone, you are getting this anesthesia shot, they're taking pills and laying there for a very long time. Under surgery, you can't think straight and sharp. You trust the doctor. There is also a psychological factor. It's a doctor and seems like you have to believe everything what he said and did. You need someone around who won't trust the doctor, who will just be your advocate, so to speak, and follow only your interests. To see any shortcomings, to see where things being underplanted or transplanted wrong, they see it and immediately say that's very important. At the time, it was the FUT methodology that it's called. What's more, that charged me a lot of money, and they didn't even warn me and informed me that it would leave a scar, and it was left with a huge scar, which I'm still trying to fix until now. See, that's another story too, and I will tell you in the next video. Hopefully you're interested, and just please subscribe, press like, and comment. You can leave your comments that I'm gonna answer later. I'm going to do a second episode of this video and tell you about my scar and in general how the FUT story went and what happened next. So it's very important to me. Don't be stingy. Please click subscribe, because it would seem I only have a couple of subscribers here. I realized that I just created this channel, but I need the motivation to know that it's useful to someone, and you are not just watching it, but to like it, to comment on it, and subscribe. Put a bell on it if you are interested to watching the videos I make for you almost every day. Do it all. I will see that you need it, and I will record more of it, because I will be honest with you. I've been looking all the time for information that I'm sharing right now. So sign up, click on the bell, write in the comments if you're interested or not interested. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.